working out. And second of all, I don't got time for that. I know I'm speaking in proper English. I don't have time for this. I don't have time. It's, next week it'll be middle of December, starting in the middle of December. I don't have time for 3 days where I can't work out. My kids are monsters. I need something that I can do to relieve stress. And my body doesn't handle alcohol that well. It's not like I can down a bottle of wine. Like, I need to work out. And they're saying I can't work out for 3 days. Like, seriously? Boobs are the biggest pain in the butt. So screw you, boobs. Another sip of coffee there. Because this is turning into the biggest headache. And again, don't get me wrong. I am super grateful for insurance and that they caught it. Like, this doesn't take away. But the whole thing about this is just like, life is hard and it sucks. And I don't want to be worried about this because I doctor Googled. I know that 80% of biopsies turn out negative. I know that, do you know the survival for breast cancer is kick-ass? It's like 90% over 5 years. So if they found it, well, shoot, I'm ready to fight. But unfortunately, in Britt's case, ovarian cancer is super hard to diagnose. Young women are getting this type of cancer and they're dying because you can't just get a pap smear and get it diagnosed. And her cancer was missed for months. And she didn't have a choice to do what I do, to get a biopsy. She didn't get to make that decision. And she had this horrible feeling for months. If you go way back on her Instagram, she talks about months before she was diagnosed, and this is like 3 years ago, you'd have to go back. She had a bad feeling about something, and I've talked about this before, but it needs to be said again. If you ever get a bad feeling about your body, if you get an instinct about something, trust that darn instinct. And second of all, they kept passing it off. These doctors kept passing it off as a food intolerance and allergies and all this stuff. And she just had this bad feeling. Her body knew something was wrong, but it couldn't convince the doctors. And it breaks my heart that someone that had so much to give the world and just was such a spirit and someone that just wanted to love is now at home, safe and sound, and she's going to be working on the other side of things now. And she wanted to live so badly. Live life on purpose. So I got a call this morning from the radiology department, and of course they want me in very soon, so I have to go in next week, and it's of course at the most inopportune time, and I have to find a sitter for the kids and yada yada yada. It's again pain in the butt, boobs suck. And I can either look at this and be fearful. And I don't know why. Crap always, do you ever notice this, that you have like a month or a season where things just don't go according to plan? Or I bet if I asked you right now, you would be able to tell me a month that just doesn't ever seem to go right. And it seems like for me, December is that month where I don't know if it's like the change in weather or what, where my body starts to go haywire. There have been several things over the past few years that things happen in December for me health-wise. And like, no kidding, not just a cold, but like ER health-wise stuff. But I can either look at this and be annoyed at my boobs, which I am, or I can just laugh and say, okay, now I'm going to have this cool metal thing in my boob. And that'll be fun. And, like I'll wear my cat onesie again to the appointment. 'Cause why not? Why not have fun with it? And this biopsy is most likely going to come back with nothing. And that's great because, I don't want it to be something. And then we can find out what this darn spot is that's been there for like a year or whatever, a while. We can find out what it's really made out of. And then, the worst comes to worst. It is what it is. But I'm going to have fun with it. And I'll, just like Brittany did with all of her new things, like every time she would get like an implant or something, she would name it. I'm just going to go with it. And I think that's what she taught me and others, is that you just have to go with what life throws at you. Okay, I need a biopsy. Awesome. Let's see what's inside of these suckers. I don't know what's in them. I'm going to be asking lots of questions. I bet you that. Just like funny stuff. Like, what does breast tissue look like? I don't know, but I kind of want to see it. I'm just kind of interested. You have to have fun with it. Whatever life is throwing at you, laugh about it, because that's all you can do. You always have two choices in life. You can either be super upset and frustrated and pissed off and angry at the world, or you can find the silver lining. And I know it's hard when it feels like it's the end of the world. I remember 6 years ago when I lost my daughter, Penelope. I remember my mom saying, "This may feel like the end of the world, but it's not." And even when it feels like it, even when I'm, in the depths of despair, losing my child, it wasn't. It felt like it. And it was definitely the end of a chapter. And it was a period. But it wasn't the ending of my story. Whatever is going on with you, whatever sadness is befalling on you, maybe you've lost a parent or a friend, or your pet has just passed, or maybe you're just having a hard time with your kids or your job. It will get better. Sometimes it's just a period. Or even at the worst, it's the end of a chapter. When I lost my daughter, it was the end of a chapter. But it definitely wasn't the end of the book. Definitely. It was the start of a new chapter, which has led to my rainbow baby, which is the child after a loss. And my rainbow is 5 years old today. 5 years ago today, I started another chapter. And his name is Noah, and he is a light and a love, and he is everything that you could want in a child after a loss. But I will tell you that each time I've had hard things happen, whether it's the loss of a child or I've gone through a divorce, it feels like the end. And it's scary. And I know some of you out there are going through a divorce. And it's scary because it feels like this is all you've known. And it's super scary, but you know what? It's kind of exciting because it means you get to learn new things and you get to decide how the next chapter of your life is going to go. Whatever is going on, you get to decide how the next sentence starts. You can start it with sadness and tears, or you can decide to start it with humor and light. And I didn't share the story with my damn boobs, as I'm going to call them now, for you to feel sorry for me. Please don't feel sorry for me. Please, there's nothing to worry about yet. Or even if there is something, there's not anything to worry about because it's being found. The times to worry, honestly, if you're ever going to worry, are the times that you don't. The time to worry is when something is creeping along and you don't even know it yet. That's the time that you would worry, but you don't, because you don't know what happens until it hits you. Whether it's a diagnosis or your kid is sick or whatever it is, the loss of a job, So there's no point in worrying, because by the time you already actively worry, that's already passed. Like, it's already, all you can do is handle it. So I tell you my story and intermingle it with Brittany, not that I'm comparing anything that I was going through with Brittany, but only to say that she taught me in the few years that I knew her that you can either stand on the sidelines of life and the balls are still going to hit you. Things are still going to come at you, even when you're on the sidelines. I promise you that you cannot avoid life. Or you can be an active participant. You can get on the field. You can kick the ball. And it's not going to be easy. But I promise you, when you're present and actively engaging in your life and your head is not in your phone, it makes it worthwhile. I remember with this, a year or two ago, when the iPhone started giving you like the time that you've been online, the weekly screen report, and I hated it. Oh my gosh, to realize how much time I was on my darn screen. Drinking another cup of coffee, sorry. No one wants to hear how much time you've been on that screen, because that's when you feel really freaking bad. You're like, really? Really? Did I actually spend that much time on my darn phone? That's a choice. Leave your phone upstairs. One thing that my husband and I have worked through as a couple and in our family is when my husband gets home, he leaves his phone either in his car or upstairs. Sometimes he doesn't even bring it in. And he used to, and he would get distracted and he'd be playing his games. And we had to talk about it and say, look, I want you to be present with me and our family. And he is now. But it was an active choice to be an active participant. You have to actively want to kick the ball. You have to actively want to be a part of your life. Live life on purpose. If you want to know more about Brittany, you can read my blog, and there's a link to her Instagram. If you followed me along this far on the podcast, think about how you can live your life on purpose. Think about what you might be avoiding. Think about how changing your point of view can help and affect things. I can look at the fact that my kids are going to be monsters because it's the holiday season, and I can get freaking annoyed at them, and I can yell because I yell. I am a mom that yells. I'm not proud of it. I'm learning to be better, but darn it, I yell. I could do that. Or I could say, you know what? My daughter is almost 10. My son is 5 today. I've done this mom thing for a while. I know they're going to be monsters. So, who cares? Okay. They're going to be monsters. I don't have to let it affect me. I can let it roll off my back and realize that they're just kids. And I am grateful for them. I am grateful for my daughter and my son and the fact that I can be annoyed. That I am here to be annoyed at them. Because there are a lot of people out there that don't get that choice. That pass too young to have children or to have relationships. They don't get that choice. And honor that choice. So this holiday season, I'm going to laugh when my kids have those tantrums. I'm going to surely laugh at this biopsy on Tuesday. And I'm going to embrace whatever comes. And probably nothing's going to come of this biopsy. And I'm going to have a funny story about the time that I put my boob in a hole on a chair and got a needle stuck through. And I'm going to have this great story to tell all of you. And worst comes to worst, they take the whole thing out. And then I don't have my boobs anymore. So either way, I win. Really, I think so. Live life on purpose, my friends. I hope you're having a good start to your holiday season. And if not, change your perspective. Flip your switch. You can look at it as a period